Maybe you have a homework folder, an artwork folder, anything like that. So then you would tell it where to look. Now if I were to go to my C folder and I would say, that's not where I want to go, then you could come over here right next to the go to last folder selected. There's a button right next to that where it says up one level. Click on it and it'll back up. Click on it, it'll back up again. So if you go too far, you can back up with the up one level button. And of course, if you don't see anything that you like, you can go ahead and cancel. Now, of course, if you want to open up a new graphic, you would just click on new. And I'm not going to click on it right now because it would look exactly like the file we have open right now. But the button that's right next to it is save. Now, any graphic that you have open right now, if I clicked on save, it would ask me where do you want to save it to. So if I click on it, it's going to say I can save this empty file, for example, wherever, and it's going to by default call it graphic 1. Now I can come in here and call it whatever I want to. I can call it ABC or 123 or whatever, and just make sure I save it to a place I know where it's going to be. Now I'm going to show you a way of filing away your artwork here in just a little while once we get done with the property bar. And so when you go looking for a graphic, you'll know how to find it, and you'll know how it's a good filing system for retrieving documents. But inside of the saving window, this is an important part, not just where you're going to save it by the little drop down window. You can also double click on these. You don't have to. For example, if I want to click on the drop down and go to C, what I can do is I can go to, I have a folder called, let's see here, temp. If I wanted to go to my temp file, I could just double click on that and then it opens the temp file. And then of course if I want to back up, I can just click on one level and I go back to where I was. See, there's the temp folder. Now anything you create and save, and we're working in CorelDRAW version 11, and with any other version, Corel will read down but will not read up. For example, if I have CorelDRAW version 9 and I want to send it to a friend of mine via email, his 11 will read my 9, but the other way around, if he sent me a file, he would have to save it down to version 9, so my 9 would read it properly, because 9 won't read 11, but 11 will read 9. So just remember, Corel will read down, but it will not read up. So if you're sending it to someone who has a previous version than what you have, then if your version is higher than theirs, you have to save it down to their version. And the way you do that is you over here where it says, when it says save drawing version, and you can just click right here. So if I want to send this to someone who has version 9, then I would just say save as version 9, and then of course title it. In this case it's just graphic 1, and then just click on save. But we're not going to do that right now. Okay, now I don't have some of the options up here they're grayed out, they're not accessible because there's nothing on the document. You'll see that this property bar will change depending on what you have selected in your graphic. So if I had some text in here, this property bar would look like a text property bar. If I had some shapes in here, then it would look like property bar shapes, and so on. And you'll see this property bar change as we go along in Corel. Now, just like you can click on File and go to Open, you can go to Save or Save As. Now, the difference between, if I go Save, it'll automatically save it. If I've already called it Graphic 1 and I've already told it where to save it, if I click on Save, the shortcut is Control-S. Then what it's going to do is it's going to save the changes that I've made in the past 10 or 15 minutes since the last time I saved it. But if I wanted to save that graphic to a different location or as a different name, then I would click on Save As. So that's the main difference. Save As is if you want to save it someplace different or call it something different. Save would be just saving the changes that you've made since your last save. Acquiring an image, we'll talk about that later for doing some scanning, but you can also do some importing and exporting. Now once we get a little bit of property bar under our belt, we're going to work a little bit more with importing and exporting. But there's a lot of things under Edit, View, and so on that we're going to come back to. So just kind of take this time to just kind of look through bitmaps, text, tools, and just kind of scan through them, the little drop-down menus, so you can see what's in there. And we're going to come back and talk about all this stuff later on. Okay, and the way I got the drop-down menus off, by the way, is I just came down and clicked in the white space. Now, one thing you can do is if you do something in Corel, for example, I'm going to jump a little bit ahead here, and I'm going to click on the rectangle tool. Now, if I draw something, once I draw the shape, I get these little black nodes around the object. 2 on the side, 1 on the top and bottom, and of course the corners. So if I want to move this object or drag it or stretch it or do something like that, I would have to click on the pick tool, because right now I have the rectangle tool still selected. You see when I move the cursor around, it shows the rectangle.